It's actually it's an open gig. If anybody out there is interested, hit me up on Twitter.
So does that mean Andy has to slide, or
he is expendable? He is,
That you're so wrong. You know who's not expendable? Chris McGee. He'll be joining us later in the show.
I would agree with that. Is he available? I would love to host a show with Geeter.
With Geeter?
Yeah, that'd be fun.
I can slide if you would like.
He's our guy. BK, sorry, bud.
Oh, well.
Good to see the both of you. We got a packed show. The Lakers were busy this week, as we are already, as they continue to fill up another one of their remaining roster spots on Monday. Free agent, former Laker, Rajon Rondo has agreed to join the Lakers on a one-year deal. Rondo played a combined 45 games for the Hawks and Clippers last season, averaging 17 minutes a game. Now, Rajon was a big part of the Lakers' 2020 championship team, in case you forgot. The 17th title in franchise history. His numbers that season were solid in the regular season, but as is often the case with Rondo, playoff Rondo was even better. All offensive numbers were on the rise. And Brez caught up with Rondo at the Lakers facility. He shared why he made a return to the purple and gold.
This is the caliber of people that work in this organization. And obviously the opportunity to win another championship. It's a special team this year, it's a special group, and I'm looking forward to doing what I do best, is trying to develop chemistry with everybody and figure out how we can win.
A lot of new faces since you last played for this franchise. How do you see the Westbrook and LeBron and AD triangle kind of working out?
3 future Hall of Famers, 3 super elite talents on the court at one time, 3 great minds. It should work.
What are you hoping to bring to this team? Obviously, your leadership was pretty key, as well as your play on the court in the playoffs 2 seasons ago.
Whatever it takes, on and off the court, being a professional, ready when my name is called, and just keeping the guys together, most likely. Whatever the team needs, like I say, as far as from Frank, being the player, bridge gap player, just trying to help the team as many ways as possible.
LeBron had a funny tweet earlier this month. He said, hey, don't call this team too old. I'm going to remember anyone who said that. What are your thoughts on this franchise? Indeed, some older players on the roster right now.
We do have a lot of great older players on the team, but like I said, great. And I'm looking forward to picking their minds, learning from them. And I go actually from being the oldest guy on the team to, I think maybe I'm 5th now. So I haven't been that way in a while. So I'm looking forward to just kind of being around the guys and, like I said, being a sponge and learning from those great minds. Interesting
you say that. So you really are going to talk to them about what they're up to, what they've been doing, and anything that you might be able to pick up on too.
Well, it's just about learning and watching, their work ethic. Guys don't play in this league 16, 18, 17 years without discipline and being a strict diet to their body. So this will be my 16th season as well, so we can all learn from each other.
A few of you guys, Trevor, you and Dwight, you won championships with the franchise here, and then you came back. What do you think is the thing about this franchise that kind of has a magnetism to it?
It's where all the greats have played. All the greats have played. All the greats have won. The best franchise in basketball, arguably. Top 2 for sure. So it's a special place. Putting on this jersey, this uniform, and with all the names on the walls, you just kind of, you get a sense of urgency as far as just understanding what it takes to win and wanting to put your name along the walls versus these banners as well.
All right, guys, not to toot my own horn, but a couple of days ago on this show, Geeter was hosting, and he asked us who we would like to see as part of one of those last 3 roster spots. And Rajon Rondo was my guy.
Wow.
I said, I would like to see Rondo come back to the Lakers.
So
Here we are a couple days later.
Like a percentage of his
I
game checks or something?
But nonetheless, you know how I feel about this, because now I'm going to ask the both of you. We'll start with you. How do you feel about Rondo?
You know what? Like in a year, especially where they have so many new players, like they've completely turned over this roster. When you look at the role that he's probably going to play as a 3rd point guard, probably some DNPs in there. He's not going to play every night, not going to play big minutes. What he is incredibly predictable. The coaching staff knows him. The stars of this team know him. Everybody knows exactly what Rondo's going to be able to give you. So that when he does need to play, whether it's because, Russell Westbrook is out for a couple games or whatever it might be, it's an easy fit. It's an easy ask for the coaching staff. They don't have to figure out how are we going to use Rajon. They know, and I think that's important.
Yeah.
Yeah, some excellent points. And let's not forget what he does in the postseason. I know he kind of didn't do as much for the Clippers this past year. But I go back to 2 seasons ago, 19 points in the clincher, Game 6 of the NBA Finals, 16 points and 10 assists in Game 2 of that series. Great against Houston in the first round that year, averaged 11 and 7. So he can obviously turn it up if needed to. I really was fascinated by what he told me earlier today when he said, hey, I'm going to be asking some of these guys for tips and for things that they've done in their career. How is he the 6th oldest player on any team ever?
It's a badly needed injection of youth, Mike.
We got Rondo. Now they're going to really bring down the average age of this team. It's a great pickup no matter what, and I can tell he's happy to be back with the Lakers.
Yeah, and with someone like him, to your point, Brez, with a mind like that, a resume like that, to still want to learn at this stage of his career speaks volumes of him. We're going to cover all bases for a second, okay? This is just a little something light, but let me take you back to 2020 Western Conference semis, Houston Lakers, Westbrook, Rondo's brother from the sidelines. Can Westbrook and Rondo get along, BK?
Yeah, I mean, I think they didn't sign Rondo's brother or Russ's brother. I mean, it's like this. I think they'll be able to figure this out.
I said something light, and I said cover all bases.
I think, but it is a great little side story of just like, but this is one of these deals as you're on the other team, you're butting heads, all that kind of stuff. As soon as you're on the same side, everybody's getting along again. These are competitive people with competitive families, but it'll be fine.
I think it was during that time, too, we all realized that we want fans back in the stands for things like that.
Yes.
To an extent.
Yeah. I mean, I actually forgot about it, so we started talking about it earlier today. My thing on that is this. This team there's so much professionalism on this team. There's so much age among this group of guys. Maybe if this happened when when Russ and Rondo were each like 23 and 25, that would be a problem if it was only a year or two after that. They don't care about that. They both have one common goal, that's to win a championship. And I don't worry about that at all. A little side story, by the way, as I'm talking to Rondo, we didn't show that in the interview. Trevor Ariza walked onto the court, the practice court, the training facility, started heckling Rondo, saying, where were you for weightlifting today? What's wrong with you? And Rondo was like, okay, yeah, get me on the group text. Let's do this. Let's do this. I don't sense any problems at all among the veteran guys and even the younger guys on this team.
BK just kind of talked about it in terms of will he play every single night? You don't know. He's not your backup essentially, but how do you think Rondo will impact this team? Obviously a bit different than the team he had in 2020.
Yeah, the second unit was all his in 2020. That might not be the case this time. I could see Russ spending a lot of time with the second unit while LeBron takes a breather towards the end of the first quarter, early second quarter, and same for like end of third, early fourth quarter. Rondo's going to have to pick his spots, and he experienced that a little bit last season with the Clippers. I think he only played in 3 of their games against the Suns in the Western Conference Finals. So, I think Rondo's already starting to realize, okay, here I am on a minimum contract. That's not a ton of money for him. He was just coming off a 2-year, $15 million deal that he signed with Atlanta before the buyout. So he might realize, all right, I'm just going to blend in. I'm just going to fill in the cracks whenever I'm asked to. He might not even be the starting point guard on the second unit. We'll have to see what Frank Vogel says about that.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. I hope we don't need to see playoff Rondo. I think if things are going well for the Lakers, he's not going to be a fundamental part of that playoff rotation either. But where I think he will play a big role is filling that Jared Dudley space where LeBron has deep respect for Rondo, AD, all these guys, Russell Westbrook. The coaching staff, they all have a tremendous amount of respect. And Rondo is a guy who's very well respected by older players and younger players in almost every locker room he's ever been in. And so I think he fills that role, and it's an important one. Maybe not in as media friendly a way as Duds did. We all love Duds, and we don't, Rondo doesn't talk to us the same way. But for that team, I think he fills a very similar role.
There is something there. Frank Vogel said that's the one thing he missed, having the voice and presence of Rondo inside the locker room a season ago. Check this out. We'll take it one step further. With the addition of Rajon Rondo, the Lakers now have 3 of the top 4 active career assist leaders. LeBron at 2, Russ at 3, and then Rajon there at 4.
That's a great stat. Come on.
And if that wasn't enough,
can they trade for CP3?
The Lakers, guys, now have 6 players. Did you see this? From the 2012 All-Star team on the roster just before AD wasn't even drafted into the league. This was before that.
And all you got to do is reverse a couple numbers, and suddenly it's the 2021 All-Star team.
There you go. Always thinking.
Yeah, I mean, that's cool.
That's wild.
Yeah. I'm not sure it's good, but it's cool.
Look at how young Marc Gasol looks.
They're babies.
Looks like he just woke up.
They all look, yeah.
Unbelievable.
Brez, I want to start with you. We're going to talk the assist offensive side first. When you talk about the active assist leaders there, the offense should be pretty free playing this season.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about any bogging down. That's for sure. We saw that in the playoffs against Phoenix. Granted, there was no AD at the time, but a couple of long droughts that really kind of did in the Lakers on the way to that 3-game losing streak in that series. The ball kind of got stuck, didn't really move a lot, and I think that's a part of the permanent past as far as this roster is constituted. So many good ball handlers. And again, will Rondo be logging 31 minutes a night? Absolutely not. But still, between Russ and LeBron and Rondo, there's going to be a lot of dimes on this team, that's for sure.
If guys move, I think that's if they're not necessarily going to always have the spacing, like when Westbrook's on the floor, that's the concern, everybody. If everybody moves, even on a tighter floor, they still should be able to find guys because LeBron's such a good passer, because AD's a good passer, Westbrook. So if they're moving, they're going to have open opportunities. And if you are one of the shooters on this team, one of the designated guys whose job that is, you're going to get a lot of wide open looks, wide open, like scary wide open, like on an island where if everybody's going to laugh at you if you don't make it.
If you don't make it,
so,
that pressure's a little different.
It is.
Golden State just a few short years ago with KD and Steph and all those guys, their standard was 30 assists per game. They wanted to do that. I think these Lakers should try for something like that as well, and they'll probably be able to hit it on plenty of nights.
Russ going to try that for himself.
By himself, right?
BK, how long do you think will it take chemistry-wise for this squad to come together? As you've heard, I feel like you've heard the veteran group speak a lot about how elite they are, the experience, and kind of that. How long do you think it'll take?
I think the comp is a couple of years ago, the title season. We thought it could take a little while. They came out of the gate very quickly. It came together very quickly. I think something like that could happen again this year, where at the very least the results are good right away because it's a home-heavy early schedule against teams that, quite frankly, aren't that good, by NBA standards. So they'll have an opportunity to practice a lot because they'll be at home, which I think will help, and then get out on the floor and build some chemistry against some weaker teams. And so there's a very good chance, actually, that it could come together quicker, I think, than some people are expecting, especially since, the guys who are leading it, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Russell Westbrook, these are smart basketball players.
Yeah, I'd imagine it's pretty seamless. If they really are about that one goal that they all say, to win a championship. More news. Could the Lakers be looking for KCP? But I think there is something within this team that can find it to get it done defensively. Now, it's something they take pride in.
Yeah. Now, this is a season preview show. So obviously we're going to lead with Westbrook and talk a lot about him. We're going to talk LeBron James and their fit. But there's another guy on the team named Anthony Davis that's been kind of flying under the radar during this offseason. He played, a career low 36 games. I mean, he missed half the season, big game James. He's now had a long offseason. He should be rested. I'm sure he's going to be in great shape. What do you expect to see from him?
I think that's the key. 27, Brez, 27. So with all that talent, at some point, and I'm not sure if he's arrived at that point yet, because I know he works on his game, but what are you going to do with your body to make sure that you can sustain a season and play through some of the nagging injuries? I know some of the injuries that you get, or some are you can't avoid. But, I remember guys like, David Robinson, who had a, great physique and worked out in the offseason. Patrick Ewing, those guys came back and they were able to play through it. That's what I'm hoping to see. Other than that, I mean, what he brings to the table. Everything. From ball handling to three-point shooting to shot blocking, which is why I think I agree, Brez. The defense is yet to be seen, but at the same time, I think they're going to have some rim protectors that they didn't have last year with Dwight Howard coming in, Ariza. He's pretty good defensive savviness, even though he's 36 years old. But so it's yet to be seen. But I think for AD, I want to see him come back. Stronger, in great shape, ready to absorb contact and go to the bucket and not away from it.
I think that's what we all want to see. I feel like I'm personally as excited as I was when he first came here because of the way last year ended. I'm intrigued. I'm curious how he took care of himself in the offseason. I'm curious to see how motivated he is. Brez, but I agree with James. He's the key.
Yeah, for sure. LeBron a couple years ago had that groin injury right on Christmas, and it cost him some time. And it kind of undercut their season, and he thought about that a lot during a long off season. That could be AD now. He's been out for several months. Did not obviously finish the playoffs the way he wanted to. So it's probably been in the back of his mind, if not maybe more towards the front of his mind, that, hey, I've got to come back stronger. I've got to really work on my body. LeBron is known as a workout warrior. Maybe LeBron and AD have been kind of, if not working out together, maybe texting a little bit, talking a little bit. What are you doing? What are you doing? Here's where LeBron can impart some of his physical wisdom as far as workout regimen upon a young guy who's still in his mid to late 20s.
This is what's been kind of intriguing with Anthony Davis, because in this day and age of social media, you haven't yet besides coming out to the Sparks game, I haven't seen Anthony Davis.
0 times, right?
He's not on social media if it's not Twitch or whatever video games he's playing, which I actually respect and appreciate. So what does his body look like? What is the focus? What has he been working on? It is something to be, seen, but I think at the same time, I would put my money on Anthony Davis putting in that work this offseason and coming out to show us something.
If I was LeBron's teammate, I'll tell you right now, I would ask for 2 things. 1, can I borrow some money? And 2, I'm going to put it to do whatever you do. You show me let's do it. I'm going to follow your path. Now, they say once a Laker, always a Laker. Quite a few reunions for the Lakers this upcoming season. Dwight Howard, Kent Bazemore, Wayne Ellington, and Trevor Ariza are all back in the purple and gold. And Lakers were able to bring back guys who are familiar with the organization and know the expectations that come with it. I mean, Dwight to Bazemore to Trevor Ariza. Of course, Wayne Ellington and Ariza and Dwight won titles with the Lakers. Bazemore and Ellington, if you guys remember, got a chance to be around the Black Mamba Kobe Bryant. How important is it, James, to have guys who know what it means to wear the purple and gold and understand what comes with that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the Lakers, their brand has been